Wait, what? Wait, we're live? What? Director, I haven't... Oh. Nah, never mind. I mean, Oh! This is what he was talking about. I do apologize if I took a little longer than usual to get a head start, but... Hello! Hi! Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, and good night. Or, I should say, good evening, good morning, and good afternoon. I'm SuperFlashDriver, also known as Matthew John, and welcome to my very own story writing late night stream. On this stream, thankfully, you'll be able to see me working on story projects, and yes, this is a redo of the one that I did from last night, but at that time, I was very, very exhausted. So exhausted that I personally, when I took a shower between 2 a.m. and 3 a.m. in the morning, I realized at that time that I was very sleepy. So you could imagine... Get out of here, dust. So you can imagine how I must have felt last night to do tons of yard work from 11 a.m. until 6 o'clock p.m. Eastern Daylight Saving Time on October 25th. And it took a lot of energy out of me, too much, to the point that I was just extremely tired by the end of it. I knew I wanted to do a stream, but when I did try it, I realized, it was a little bit too much for me. So, consider this like a remake or a redo of the live stream that I did yesterday, but this time, 0.5 or version 1.0 or 1.5, as they call it, basically like a remake or redo of the live stream that I did from yesterday. So, if you didn't catch the first one that I did, I do want to mention that the content you may be seeing here is usually made for those over 18, is not safe for work, contains sexual and adult language, descriptions, scenario settings, and pretty much everything in between of my Blueberry Inflation Not Safe for Work stories. So yeah, for those who don't know, if you've ever come across my channel, you probably remember me as the man who has done Willy Wonka 1971 and Charlie and the Chocolate Factory 2005 videos in reverse. And when I mean in reverse, I mean the legit original audio that was contained in that movie. So instead of the other ones who just did the, Everlasting Gobstopper Oompa Loompa Violet Beauregard song, put over the original audio of the video itself, I'm guessing it probably wasn't a good recording either way, so that's why it probably didn't really sound right in the finalized version of the recording of the movie. I decided, hey, let me go make my own by taking a 1080p Blu-ray file from the 2011 version and putting it into, my reverse videos from 7 years ago. So ever since, or 8 years ago, I should say. Ever since then, many people have loved it, and with the recent ones from 2005, one of the people mentioned to me, hey, buddy, delete this shit. And I'm like, no, I'm good. I've already done enough. I've reworked all of the other ones, and I'm not going to take them down again. Sadly, one of the videos, All Golden Ticket Winners 2005 in reverse, is copyright claimed and blocked worldwide. That's the reason why the day before I did the YouTube protest on August 13th, or I think it was August 13th, right? Let me go check the date. August 13th, 2025. YouTube decided on the day that my older brother turned 31, they decided to remove my advanced features, which includes embedded YouTube links, or embedded links to other websites. So you can see how that went, and even though technically I could still post a link, it's just that people who are on mobile devices, sorry, can't really open the browser that way. You're going to have to type it manually or just go on a computer to search it up yourself. Sorry. But regardless, welcome all to a little bit of a new series compared to the previous ones I've done. Yes, it's still a relaxing live stream, which is why it's number 9. The freak? I don't know what just happened there, but there have been strange noises. I should mention something. There have been strange noises happening in this house in this basement, so I have no idea if it's my dragon that's doing it, or if it's somebody else that's in the house with me, but who knows. And the weirdest part about this is that as I was doing as I was doing these outros, I literally saw somebody walking by me, and I was like freaked out over it. I was like, was that my dad or was that somebody else? I couldn't believe that I actually captured it on camera. And I'll have to show you it a little bit later, but for now, where is the... Okay, so I gotta go in here and pretty much redo the whole thing. Oh, what's this? Okay, no, get rid of that. Get rid of that. Move that out of the way. There we go. That is a text. Get rid of that. Sorry, I'm just going through here and just seeing what I need to move, what I need to get rid of. All that stuff. All that jazz. Here we go. What is this? What? Oh, that's window catcher. Remove it. I don't think we need that. Oh. Need to change that to a different background. I was still busy talking while I was doing that, but you could just imagine I felt hit because if I saw an invisible man with just black cloak and a white stripe going down the arm, and I was like, I'm not sure if that's even my dad or is that somebody else. But it felt really creepy to see that happen right behind me, see that right in person. So you can imagine how that must have been. So I guess around this time, I would definitely say that strange things do happen around this month. And considering that we are 4 days away, now it's October 27th, oh my gosh, it's already midnight. We are now 4 days away, right? 28, 29, 30. Yeah, well, 27, 28, 29, 30. About 3-4 days left. I would definitely say 3-4 days left until Halloween comes around, but already we're like near the end of the month. It's just crazy. It's crazy if you ask me. So, but if there's one thing I do want to mention is that on my personal end, for those who don't know, I actually write Blueberry Inflation Not Safe for Work stories. So how this story went is that when I was introduced to Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, the 1971 movie, back in 1999/2000, it really fascinated me with the many devices that were shown in that film, but I also love the character Charlie Bucket as much as many people do. The amount of lessons, the amount of quotes, and memorable things that have happened in that movie, it's no wonder that it became a cultural zeitgeist of a movie that everyone can relate to whenever they think of the Wonka franchise. And while technically making book lovers tend to prefer the 2005 film rather than the 1971, I think Zazescu kind of told me best, or Lampazilla kind of told me best, that it's always good to have both. It's always good to have both Blueberry Inflations, both the 2005 and the 1971 version. But I don't know. I personally think the 1971 version is just the most easiest, simplest, but also, in my opinion, the right size for me because, well, 5-6 feet Blueberry inflated beings is just a lot more fun, but also a lot more easier to transport. Like, can you imagine a 10-foot one and having to push that darn thing? It's probably like 400, 600, probably even 2,000 pounds just to move that thing. And that thing and that individual, if it ever happened in real life, would have been so heavy, it would have required maybe about 40, 50 people to move one 10-foot Blueberry inflated being. He or she would have been so freaking heavy to the point they wouldn't be able to move. They would have been a massive boulder by then, which is why I prefer the 5-6 feet ones, kind of the smaller size ones, because it's just easier to roll them, and it also doesn't take up a lot of space. So you can still enjoy Blueberry Inflation, but just half the size. So instead of 10 feet, it's usually 5 feet. I just usually go with that because I just think it's better, but be my guest. But anyway, because of the 1971 movie, I loved, especially, all the devices, the entire factory tour, the entire movie, and the music as well. But the Blueberry Inflation one really stood out to me because apparently on the cover of the VHS one, Video Cassette 1, 1996, I've always wondered why Violet Beauregard's blueberry shape looked metal or steel, or iron. I really didn't know. So it wouldn't be until the 2001 DVD release that I realized, oh, it wasn't metal, iron, or steel as I thought, or aluminum. She was actually just in a plastic ball. And yeah, while it did look like as if it was a weird shape, I think that's just due to the camera angle, and that considering they were filming it on 35mm, and at that time, computer technology was only a few years away from what Star Wars had, so you can imagine they had to do a lot of practical effects just to pull it off on a $2 to $3 million budget, which wasn't a lot, but they just had to do it with whatever kind of money they had left and just put on a show, make the movie sets, put on this, put on that, and go from there. So it was, it may have been a bizarre movie at that time, it may have flopped, but its cultural significance and the amount of re-releases in home media have made it quite popular for people to enjoy the movie. Personally, the actors, and I think Charlie Bucket in that film, in my opinion, is like one of my favorite versions of all time. But the Charlie Bucket in the 2005 film, I think it's kind of more the mature version of it. So it's like if I wanted to be the mature version, I think 2005 would have been it. But if I wanted to be the happy-go-lucky kid, that would be Charlie Bucket in the 1971 version. Anyway, in one part of the scenes where we get to the inventing room, and then the Beauregard Blueberry inflation one, that scene, the moment I watched it happen from the beginning of the inventing room by the time we went through the doors, all the way up until we get to the Oompa Loompa song of Blueberry inflation, oh man, it just goes to show just how much I love the entire thing. I love the quotes. I love the entire scene from beginning to end. I don't think there's even one single favorite part about it that I could truly love out of all of them, because I love the entire sequence. And it's this fascination of, what if we brought blueberry inflation to life in the near future? It's just that simple of a question. So because of that movie, it inspired me to love blueberry inflation very much, but it wouldn't be until June 24, 2007 that I would really get into blueberry inflation. Which, funny enough, I actually did explain it in the World Wide Web, SuperFlashDriver's World Wide Web 20th anniversary stream, if you haven't checked that out, from September 20th and 21st of this year. I will make them non-age restricted by the end of this year, sometime around December 13th, 20th, or probably even the 25th. It depends on whether I'll do it on New Year's or Christmas or my birthday or December 20th, one of the stories that takes place, which is the inventing room with Fizzy Lipton drinks. So for those who don't know, I've been writing stories about blueberry inflation not safe for work for the past 11 years, since November 2014 up until now. The idea behind this is that I was role-playing with a person named John ago from back in November 2014 when Avenine, when it used to be called Seal Scarlet, and before that was Drakehound, apparently he made a post called Transformation Lake, which, while it started as a transformation role-playing session, eventually barreled down into a blueberry inflation not safe for work, where Janico was a Zoroark, and I was pretty much a Yveltal or human. That type of role-playing session, which, funny enough, I was actually able to find a partial saving of the role-playing session, which, surprise, surprise, I think I actually copied a bit of the role-playing session that Janico and I did. Oops, sorry about that. But regardless, the concept of me being able to roleplay with Janico at that time, which he's pretty much on a different name that I can't remember, but we don't really talk anymore. But that one role-playing session that Janico97 and I did pretty much inspired me to return back to story writing that I sadly abandoned back in 2011. To get this in perspective, I've been introduced to painting, drawing, and writing at a very young age, between 4 and 7 years old. However, I was actually inspired into filmmaking 23 years ago because of 5 movies ranging from Clockstoppers to Treasure Planet, or Max Keeble's Big Move, which I would eventually rediscover 8 years later, or 2 decades later, that I realized Max Keeble's Big Movie was the movie that inspired me to make my own Matthew movie series. So, thanks to that movie for inspiring me to make my own movie series that doesn't exist, but is imaginary, but was the one that I thought of at the age of 6 into 7 years old. Because of that, it's no wonder that a lot of the drawings I used to do were just more line art of, theme parks and roller coasters especially. However, 20 years ago, it wouldn't be until I realized I looked at VeggieTales, and then I realized I should start writing stories. And because of the amount of English education and the story writing, and the amount of stories that I was reading in 3rd grade class in 2005, remember, I repeated 3rd grade twice, in 2003 and 2004, which is why 2005 was the last time I ever went through 3rd grade, and then just went up from there. I guess probably because my mom didn't want to get bullied at a small age, but I don't know. if I did repeat 3rd grade, I probably would have graduated in 2013, pretty much around the same time that people like James, Jonathan, Brian, and all that stuff would have graduated in 2013 anyway, or Jack. So I would have graduated in the class of 2013 instead of class of 2015. So pretty much I would have been in the same grade, 12th grade, as I pretty much would have been in the Parsippany High School at a much younger, much earlier age, rather than graduating in 2015, 2016, like 9 years ago. But regardless, around that time in Norwood Elementary School, which is my 3rd grade class, I started to write some stories based on the VeggieTales property that I truly loved. But I did notice that they didn't mention about Thanksgiving, or New Year's, or Valentine's Day. So I decided to make my own. They did eventually do St. Patrick's Day, and they did eventually do Easter, then St. Patrick's Day, and then eventually, surprisingly, years later after I left the VeggieTales property, apparently they did Thanksgiving. So, go figure that 13 years later, after I wrote that story in my head, they apparently actually made it happen. Go figure. Or was it like 9 or 8 years later? I can't remember. But regardless, that story writing that I did nearly 20 years ago in November 2005 would lay the groundwork for pretty much 2 cartoon creations that I shall not introduce until 2026, when my cartoon creations turn 20 and 15 years old respectively. So, what does this have to do with Blu-ray inflation? Well, after pausing the writing on hold, or putting it on hold after I could not complete the 2011 story called MGM 2012, I decided to take a back seat from writing for about 3 years because remember, again, I was writing it with an actual pen